I have to give a major warning in this chapter. This chapter does talk about offing yourself, so please, if you guys are thinking about that, please don't do it, because I love you guys all so much. And anyways, if you are not comfortable with offing yourself, please do not listen to this. But it does have comfort in it, so yeah. I don't know what else to say, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Bye, lovelies.
Kachan, look! I got a quirk, Kachan. It's almost as cool as yours. You smiled, running up to the spiky-haired 5-year-old boy. Huh? Nothing can be cool as my quirk. But show me anyways. It's better than quirkless Deku, Katsuki replied, creating small little sparks in his hands. You smiled, excited to show someone your quirk. You held out your hand, a little bit apart from each other, in front of you. Constructing hard, you started creating a small ball of energy. You held your breath as you did, and the ball disappeared when you exhaled. If I practice it more, I can make it bigger. Maybe then I can become a hero like you said. Katsuki blushed, seeing the sparkles in your eye. When we're adults, we'll get married. Then we'll be heroes together. I can protect you, and you'll never get hurt. Yeah, when we get married, I can protect you too. You smiled, hugging Bakugou. Bakugou looked away in embarrassment, but still hugged you back. He made it a goal to remember this conversation forever, and he did. 10 years later, Katsuki and you had applied to the UA's hero course. Izuku was there too. You were happy that he was still pursuing his dream, even after the judgment he got. But in the end, not everyone was so lucky. Their quirks wasn't much of an attack quirk. You knew that since you got it. Being a hero, even just one involved in rescuing missions, wouldn't be easy. So you didn't expect to get into the hero course, but you did it for Katsuki. Hey Lin, I got into UA, Bakugou said with a more excited. You'd seen him in years. That's great, Katsuki. He smiled. He could tell it was fake. What? It's not like the end of the world if you didn't get in, he said. It's not that just... You trailed off, pushing the letter of rejection away. Very quickly you could tell that you didn't get in when you got it. Izuku had texted you about getting into UA just a few days ago, and he explained how he got a video with All Might in it talking about how he got in. When you got the letter, there was no video, no All Might, no hope. You hadn't passed the written exam. Despite passing the mock test like Katsuki, if you had, you could have at least been accepted into the school. But you weren't even allowed to attend it in general because of the low performance. Just say it, Yin, Bakugou said, slightly annoyed with you. I'm moving. I can't go to UA, Bakugou. It would be too far away. You said. See, this wasn't exactly a lie. Your parent had gotten a promotion at work, and since you didn't live in the nicest apartment, you were moving. The lie was that you weren't able to go to UA. That was bullshit. You didn't want to tell him that you didn't get in. He'd probably make fun of you, and you weren't currently the most emotionally stable after all this. What? Where? Why didn't you fucking tell me before? He yelled. You were too excited, and I didn't want to ruin it for you. I knew I wouldn't get into the hero course anyways, you said, pausing for a second in between. What about our promise? Bakugou asked. I might not be a hero, but you can still be mine, you replied. You could sense him blushing in embarrassment during the small silence after. Shut the fuck up with all that cheesy shit. You better visit and not go cheating on me, he said. I wouldn't do that to you, Kachan. I have to go now. Packing. Love you. You said. I love you too. Bye, he replied. After a second, you laughed and hung out going to eat dinner with your family. Another 10 years had passed. You'd lost contact with Bakugou a few years ago. You were walking down the sidewalk to work when you saw a newspaper on the ground. On the front page was a picture of two boys you remembered from your childhood, and Shoto Todoroki, one of Izuku's high school friends. They were the top 3 heroes, living some of the best lives they could. On the other hand, you had been slipping quickly. High school wasn't the best, especially when you lost contact with Bakugou as you went into college. Now you were an adult, working a dead-end job. You were lonely and felt like there was nothing to look forward to in life. You fell into a deep depression. It was surprising that you had even got up this morning. You hadn't had the energy for the past 2 days. Katsuki probably forgot the promise. It's been 20 years since we made it. No way he could still remember, you said quietly to yourself, thinking back to when you were 2 kids. He's busy with hero work. Dealing with me would just be a pain in the ass for him. You added, even quieter. Why am I still even alive? You mumbled. Deku, can I have your autograph? You heard someone yelling. You looked over to see a group of people, mostly girls, surrounding a rather tall, green-haired boy. Izuku Midoriya, #1 hero and symbol of peace. He'd gotten taller and much muscular since you last saw him. Approaching him wouldn't even been pointless with all the people already around him. You continued walking, feeling happy with the small encounter. When you arrived at your job, you were greeted by a few people, and before you could even sit down, someone told you that your boss wanted to talk to you. You took a deep breath. Setting your stuff at your desk, you were expecting for weeks now. You walked upstairs to your boss's office. He was sitting in his desk, on the computer when he saw you. Lynn, I'm just going to get right to the point here. How many days do you think you've missed? He said, facing you. 9, you said, staring at him emotionally. 10, Lynn. One of those days you called in sick. I was giving you a chance here. You're a good kid, fresh out of college. I'm sorry, Lynn, but you're fired. Your last check will be mailed to you this Saturday. I understand. Thank you, you said, walking out of his office. You quickly got your stuff ready, and you already had. Most of what you had was on your desk. You threw away or left because the company owned. You then left. Your already downhill life just hit a cliff. When you got back to your apartment, you were greeted by an overdue bill notice. You had the money to pay them, but you've been thinking about some dark things lately. You were considering death. It felt like a better option in this state you were in. Despite the thought of it, you knew it wasn't an option out, and hadn't yet accepted it. You put your stuff into your room and looked at your phone. There was one text from an unknown number. Hi, Yin. It's Izuku Midoriya from middle school. I haven't talked to you in a while. How have you been? The text said. Hey, Izuku. It's been a while since we talked. I've been doing fine recently. Not as good as you, though. You're an amazing pro. I know. It's always been your dream, you replied. You hadn't seen him that long ago, so he probably wasn't respond until he was done with work. How is it already sunset? Maybe I should go to the roof tonight, you thought, looking towards your door. You stood up, cleaning up your room. Every time you went up to the roof, you did this. You let your thoughts run wild before, and you'd stop going up as often after the second time you were standing dangerously close to the edge of the building. You went to your kitchen and found some instant ramen. You made it and quickly ate, checking your phone for any text from Izuku. Come on, Yin. It'll start getting cold outside if you don't go up there soon, you said, throwing away the container. You got your keys and left your small apartment. You got to the elevator, putting your hood on and pressing the button for the top floor. The apartment building had 19 floors, the roof being the 20th. You'd have to walk from the 19th floor up to a few stairs to the roof. The elevator dinged as you reached the floor, and you quickly walked to the nearby fire escape. From there you made it to the roof, where you could see the lights from the other buildings and shopping districts. I wonder how Katsuki has been doing. He's clearly pretty busy if he hasn't tried to contact me since college, you said to yourself, looking down steadily at the next idea that popped into your head. Or he just forgot about it. You thought. You sat on the railing that was on the roof ledge, your feet dangling off the ledge. You could easily fall off any minute now. It was a pretty big drop, the building being 10 floors and all. You're really hopeless, Ian. You lost your fucking job. If you don't pay those bills, you'll get evicted. Jumping would be the only useful thing to do, you thought, tears slipping out of your eyes. Deku cares, right? That's why he tried to contact me again. You said to yourself, no, he doesn't. He's being nice. That's his job. You thought, constructing yourself. You stood up from the rail, your feet landing on the other side, your hands tightly grip on the railing behind you. Maybe I should, you said to yourself, looking down at the ground. Maybe a pro hero had been walking down the alley by several apartment buildings. He was just trying to get away from the people and go home. The stars are nice tonight. Ian liked the stars, he thought, looking up. Deku had been talking about their childhood friend again, and he was planning on texting you when he got back home. He'd never forgot the promise he made, and he wouldn't admit to anyone that he really missed you. He shook off the thought. He saw a dark figure standing high above on the ledge building. Wait, okay, I think the story changed. Never mind. Hey, get down from there. You could fall. He called up to the person. The figure seemed startled, looking towards him. They were too far away for him to see their face. But he changed that quickly. Using his quirk, he made his way to the top of the building. He picked up the person and safely onto the roof. Let me go, the person struggled. He recognized that voice a bit, but couldn't really recall from where. Fine, you better not go back onto the ledge. It's my job not to let idiots like you get hurt. Oh, I think that was my sound, but it's okay. He said, letting go of the person. He still couldn't understand where he knew that person yet. That was the point, they said, going back over to leaning against the railing. Bakugou thought for a second. He wouldn't dealt with issues like this before. Of course, he'd seen this happen. Usually the hero approached them kindly and eventually convinced them to go get help. He wasn't really the best at comforting person in general, especially not someone in this situation. He had no clue how or where to start. Hey, Bakugou went to say, taking another second to think. Yes? They asked, wiping their eyes. Their hood had fallen off, and Bakugou could now see their face. And you also saw him more clearly. His voice had gone lower since you'd last seen him. He was taller, and his hair was a bit shorter. Ian? He trailed off. Your eyes widened, seeing it. That was him who had saved you from ending your life. Katsuki, You also trailed off, neither of you knowing what to say at this point. You looked down in disappointment. This wasn't how you had hoped to see Katsuki again. He suddenly pulled you into a tight hug. You fucking idiot. Why the hell would you try to do that? I fucking love you, and I don't want to lose you. You hid your face in his shoulder as you were starting to cry, hugging him back tightly. Bakugou was much taller than you now, so he had just rested his head on top of yours. He rubbed circles on your back, just letting you cry on him. It was almost exactly how he would comfort you when you were kids, and clearly the only way he knew how to comfort people. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Katsuki, you said between sobs and hiccups. Stop apologizing for nothing. You didn't do anything wrong to me. Come on, we're going home. You're going home with me. I don't trust you on your own, he said, suddenly picking you up by said. But Katsuki, you said, shocked when you felt your feet lift off the ground. I told you, I don't trust you alone, he said, walking back to the door, down from the roof. You hadn't known what to say after that. You had just let him carry you to the elevator. You really hoped no one would see the two of you. Where's your apartment? He asked, looking at the button in the elevator. Why should I tell you? You huffed, looking away from him. You suddenly felt mad at him. It had been years since you last seen him, and now he finally shows up to be the hero. He could have just been there to give you even more false hope. I'm letting you get everything you want before going back to my place. Be happy. So tell me where you live unless you want nothing, he replied. I live on the first floor, apartment 17. You broke easily at his words. Thank you, he sighed, going over to the elevator and pressing the button for the first floor. Once the elevator started going down, he frowned, seeing you weren't looking at him still. I'm gonna sit you down, all right? He asked, in an uncertainly soft tone. You nodded as he gently placed your feet on the ground. Then let go of the rest of your body. You continued to look away, instead choosing to watch as the floor numbers lowered as you went down to the first floor. Katsuki didn't do or say anything, knowing you needed your space. He stood still. The elevator dinged, signaling you reached your floor. The doors opened and the two of you walked out. You took your keys out from your pocket and opened your door to your apartment. As you closed the door behind you, Katsuki enveloped you in another hug. He smelled like ashes and cinnamon, an odd combination. I'm not trying to be mean to you, Yin. I don't want to find you dead tomorrow or ever. Don't do this again, he said, taking off one of his gloves. He gently cupped the back of your head. I love you too, Ka-chan, you cried, hugging him back. Fuck Yin, don't make me go all soft like this, he growled slightly, blushing in embarrassment. You chuckled, wiping your tears. Bakugou hadn't changed a bit since middle school. Well, hopefully, he'd gone less violent, otherwise he wouldn't really be a hero, now would he? That cheered you up a bit, didn't it? Go get your stuff and make it quick, he said, letting you go. Thank you, Ka-chan. You gave him a small smile before going off to get what you needed.